One of the aspects of creating a track like that was I had to have a vocal, and I'm terrible at singing. I tried singing it a few times, and the only version that worked was me whispering, which was really it started off as a vocal effect underneath. Now, in The Alchemist, the main character, Santiago, he talks to the wind, he talks to the desert, and eventually he talks to God. And in a story like that, I was thinking, well, the sound of the vocal could be one of those elements talking to the character, specifically specifically with the lyric of "God only knows." I thought, well, it could actually be literally a spiritual thing. But on top of that, the line in cinema between something that's spiritual or something that's scary or horrific or horror based is it's quite narrow. It's quite small. So you could get something that's quite scary but also quite spiritual, and you can sometimes not tell the difference between the two. So that's the direction that I wanted to go, and so I knew that the vocal needed to come out of the sound of the wind and out of the sound of the desert. And that's exactly where I went with it. So I wanted the vocal to be a little bit scary, but I wanted it to come out of the sound of whispering, a whispering vocal on the wind. In fact, I think the story has elements of a voice on the wind, so voices being carried by the wind. So I wanted that too. So the whispering, when you whisper, there's a lot of sibilance, a lot of high-end content in terms of frequency. And I also thought about the sound of sand being moved on a beach or in a desert. And again, it's it's a high hiss to it. So I took those two elements and I created a lot of white noise, just using a synthesizer within the computer. And then automated that so it had a sense of movement, automated it in terms of its movement between the speakers, and then automated reverb on top of that to create a sense of further movement, and then delays and granular delays to have the sound sort of peter out further up, the further it moved, so that it's sort of like a sound of something thick being dispersed. And then on top of that, for the wind, I didn't really know how to record something that sounded purposeful. I could have taken a field microphone and actually gone and recorded some wind, but having something purposeful for the track that moves with the music, it's not possible to use nature in that way, or not at least in the way that I was planning the track. So with that, I did some vocal takes, not breathing into a microphone. You should never do that if you can help it, but some very long breathing exercises that were sort of in tempo to the track, and I married that all up, and again automated that so that was also moving between the speakers in a natural way and moving backwards and forwards, and so that the voice could then kind of come out of these two elements. So I'm just going to show you that very briefly. Now I've just turned off the drums and all the melodic instruments. These are just the vocal stems and the effects stems. And so when we start, you'll hear straight away this hiss, this roar that sounds like wind and sand being blown up and a voice coming out of it. And you hear that being whipped up. And so that is where I really began this track, with that concept.